This is a narrated reconstruction based on real interviews and reporting about the Challenger 2 baby in Ukraine. Timings and interior dialogue are dramatized. At around 6:17 local time, 4 Ukrainian soldiers are sealed inside a British Challenger 2 tank they jokingly call Baby. Not because it's small, because it's the opposite. A Challenger 2 in combat configuration can push roughly 70 plus tons, a rolling fortress that makes most Soviet-era machines feel like tin cans with engines. And inside this fortress, the crew is doing something you almost never see in war. They're waiting. Engine idling, turret powered, thermal sight sweeping. And outside, Russian artillery is feeling for them, one adjustment at a time. The first shells don't land on the tank, they land near it, because Russian gunners don't need to be perfect. They only need to be close enough to turn the ground into flying steel. And here's the part most people miss. In a tank, the difference between near and direct hit isn't a matter of bravery, it's a matter of design philosophy. And in the next few minutes, Baby is going to prove why the Challenger 2 was built the way it was built, and why its crew later said in real interviews that this tank saved their lives. Before Baby, this crew lived in a different world, a Soviet tank world, a world where the interior is tight, the systems are simpler, and the priorities feel reversed. Soviet design often chased a brutal kind of efficiency, smaller silhouette, faster mass production, fewer comforts, different trade-offs. Western tank design, especially British and American, tends to treat one thing as sacred: the crew. Not in a poetic way, in an engineering way. Because if you lose a tank, you lose steel. If you lose a trained crew, you lose something you can't replace quickly, especially in wartime. The Challenger 2 is a product of that thinking. It's famous for protection, built around advanced composite armor, commonly described in open reporting as Chobham/Dorchester type protection. Layers designed to disrupt, absorb, and break the physics of incoming threats before that energy reaches the humans inside. But Baby isn't just armor. The crew talked about accuracy and the fire control advantage, how it sees, stabilizes, and hits compared to what they used before. They also talked about the interior, more spacious, more ergonomic, more livable, like the tank was built to be operated by humans, not squeezed into by necessity. And yes, reporting even notes they compared the feel against other Western machines, including broad, non-technical comparisons to the M1 Abrams in terms of comfort and layout. Pros and cons, not fan fiction. Now zoom out one step. Ukraine received 14 Challenger 2 tanks from the UK. Small in number, but symbolically huge. Britain was the first to break the Western MBT taboo publicly, and the Challengers arrived after Ukrainian crews trained in the UK, and the first deliveries landed in early 2023. So when this crew climbs into Baby, they're not just switching vehicles, they're switching survival logic. And soon, they're going to find out if that logic holds up when Russia finally dials in the guns. 6:17. The first impact hits nearby. Not on the hull, close enough to feel like it. The tank shudders as the ground pops upward like a wave. Inside, you don't hear artillery the way people imagine. You feel it in your teeth, in your ribs, in the way your chest tightens because your body is trying to predict the next shock. The commander's voice cuts through the noise. Scan, now. Thermal sight sweeps. The gunner finds a heat signature through the haze, something armored, partially masked by terrain. Not a cinematic perfect silhouette, a flicker, a shape, a temperature difference. This is where the Challenger 2's world starts to matter, because modern tank gunnery is not point and shoot. It's stabilization, it's optics, it's a fire control system that turns a moving platform into a steady sniper. And if the crew's interviews are anything to go by, this was one of the tank's standout advantages: accuracy, the ability to spot and engage with confidence instead of guessing through dust and panic. The commander calls a range estimate, the gunner refines it, The turret adjusts, the barrel steadies, and then the tank does what it was designed to do. It puts a heavy round exactly where the crew wants it, at distance, before the enemy can close the fight. Because at 2 kilometers, accuracy isn't a flex, it's survival. Hit first and you might never get hit back. Miss and you just told every Russian drone operator and artillery crew in the area exactly where you live. The Challenger fires. The recoil is violent but controlled, like a door slamming shut on a vault. The loader is already moving for the next round. And then the battlefield changes temperature. Because the threat isn't just a tank duel, it's everything. Artillery, drones, anti-tank guided missiles, mines, loitering munitions. The modern battlefield isn't a chess match, it's a swarm. And baby is about to get swarmed. A strike hits the tank, hard enough that the crew's bodies react before their brains do. A sharp crack, a deep, ugly thump, and then a second of silence that feels too long. This is the moment every tank crew fears, because it's the moment where you don't yet know if you're still alive. And this is where open reporting about Baby gets very specific in one crucial way. The crew described how the tank's protection kept them alive after a direct strike. Not invulnerable, not magic, just alive. Systems react, fire suppression, warning lights, smoke that doesn't become flame. The kind of design detail that sounds boring until it's the only reason you're breathing. And there's an even wider context here, also publicly reported. A British donated Challenger 2 was destroyed in Ukraine in 2023, and reporting described the sequence as a mine strike followed by a drone strike, yet the crew survived. That's not a coincidence, that's the point. Because Western tanks are often built around the idea that catastrophic damage can happen and the vehicle can still lose without automatically killing the people inside. The commander checks the crew, driver answers, gunner answers, loader answers, everyone is present, everyone is still functioning, the tank has been hit, and the crew is still inside it, which means the tank is still doing its job. And outside, Russian fire doesn't stop just because the first hit didn't kill anyone. It escalates, near misses, shrapnel impacts, concussions that rattle external gear, the kind of punishment that turns optics mounts into weak points, and tracks into liabilities, and exposed wiring into sudden darkness. The tank begins to move, because sitting still is an invitation. The driver reverses, slow at first, then faster, using terrain and smoke because in modern combat, concealment is not about invisibility, it's about breaking the enemy's targeting loop. If a drone can't keep eyes on you, artillery can't walk rounds onto you as easily. If an ATGM team loses line of sight for 5 seconds, that might be the difference between a second missile and an escape. Smoke blooms, the turret shifts, the gunner tries to keep a threat lane covered as the vehicle withdraws. And here's the human detail that matters most. The crew doesn't talk about the Challenger 2 like a trophy. They talk about it like a partner, like a machine they can trust. Because trust is built in exactly one way. You get hit and you live. Then this happened. A lot of people hear composite armor and imagine a simple scale of thick equals good. But survivability is not just thickness, it's layout, it's compartmentalization, it's what happens after penetration, it's whether fires spread, it's how ammo is stored, it's whether blast energy is directed away. Even in public discussion of Challenger 2, the core reputation is consistent. Heavy protection, serious survivability emphasis. And in Forces News reporting on the destroyed Challenger 2 in 2023, the standout takeaway wasn't the tank died. It was that the crew lived, and senior British military figures highlighted that survivability aspect publicly. That matters for Ukraine more than most viewers realize, because every surviving crew is a trained team that can be reassigned to another vehicle. Every surviving crew is experience preserved, and in a war of attrition, preserved experience is a weapon. Ukraine does not just need tanks, it needs veteran crews who can fight under drones, under artillery, under EW, under constant pressure. So when Baby absorbs punishment and its crew walks away, it's not just a feel-good story, it's a strategic outcome. Later, away from the frontline noise, Baby sits still, scarred, dirty, externally damaged in places, but not a burnt-out coffin. The crew climbs out, checking the hull, checking damage points, touching armor like you touch a wall after a storm to confirm your house is still standing. In interviews and reporting, they didn't talk like actors. They talked like people who had been given a second chance. They talked about accuracy, about the fire control system, about the feeling that the tank sees first and hits first. They talked about protection, how the armor and design protected them. They talked about the interior space, comfort, and ergonomics compared with their previous Soviet-era tanks. And they talked about trust, because in a tank, trust is oxygen. If a crew doesn't trust the vehicle, they hesitate, they second guess, they freeze. If they trust it, they fight. And that's what Baby represents. Not a super weapon, not a meme. A survival platform that lets Ukrainians do their job and come back alive to do it again. Zoom out one last time. The UK sent 14 Challenger 2s. At least one was confirmed destroyed in 2023, with the crew surviving in public reporting. And in later reporting, Ukrainian crew members described the Challenger 2, nicknamed Baby, praising its accuracy and protection and how it saved lives. That is the factual spine. And Baby, the British tank that refused to die, became famous for one reason that matters more than any kill count. When the moment came, it did what it was built to do. It brought them home. Mission accomplished. Bye for now.